This is Pokémon Lazarus, a brand new ROM hack made by Nemo622, the creator of Emerald Seaglass, and this has been one of the most anticipated fan projects of 2025. And we're here today to see if we can beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of this game on its hardest mode, which of course means if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace, no active items can be used in battle, and we play the games on set mode. If you liked the video, the sound of my voice, and this isn't your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You know you'll want to. Just like with Emerald Seaglass, this game uses graphics that are inspired by the Game Boy Color games, and everything is created using absolutely beautiful pixel art. And with over 400 Pokemon in a new region to explore, I am super excited to see what happens here. So, let's get into it. After hopping out of the back of a moving truck just like in a certain other game, we meet Professor Ilya, who is here to take us to the university where we'll be studying Pokemon. And we get a great look at the starter town, and I love these graphics so much. After getting to Ecclesia Academy, Professor Ilya introduced us to Nico, who I can't tell is a research assistant or another student like us, who specializes how Pokemon behave in captivity, which is a really interesting subject that you don't generally see in a Pokemon game. It's just expected that they like to hang out in their Pokeballs, so I think this is super neat. We're also introduced to Rania, who studies Pokemon migration patterns, which is an excellent way for fan games like this to show just why there are so many different and varied Pokemon throughout their fan-made regions, and it's a really cool touch. And now the time has come for us to choose our starter Pokemon between the Generation 7, 9, and 6 Pokemon, which is super cool. And I have always had a soft spot for Kalos, so we're going to choose Fennekin as our starter Pokemon, who we're going to nickname Crystal. And our first objective with our new little friend is to hunt down the delivery driver that was supposed to bring our Pokedex from Alola. And for our first encounter in Acria City, we can grab ourselves a Sandshrew. And in the Bronze Fields, a Lillipup. And once we track down the missing caravan with probably our phone on it, we are introduced to Team Chimera. So I guess we're gonna have to beat him up to get our phone. And after lighting his little monkey on fire, he decides to run off. And we receive phone. And now that we have phone, we can start our research project in earnest. And Professor Ilya thinks we should also take on the gym challenge to make sure that we're strong enough to keep on catching more Pokemon for him to research. So our next stop is going to be Just Mail Town. In Just Mail Town, we can grab a Pikipek. And I'm going to throw it out there, I'm very excited for the toucan representation, hopefully a little bit later. And just like in Emerald Seaglass, you can get some wishing stars to throw down a wishing well and get a Pokemon. So we'll consider this a separate encounter as we grab a Spiritomb. And now it's time for us to face off against Palomina in our first gym battle. She's actually a grass and bug type trainer, which is cool. We're going to send in Crystal against Cutiefly here, who's going to go for an Absorb doing like 2, and we can go for an Ember doing a lot more than 2. It then goes for a Draining Kiss, which does a bit more, but that's okay. We can go for an Ember, taking it out, which leads into Pumpkaboo. Okie dokie, it's going to go for a Shadow Sneak, doing a lot to us, and we get the burn off, which is awesome. Another Shadow Sneak is going to come in, getting us down to just 11, and we go for one more Ember, taking out Pumpkaboo. Her Ace Skiddo comes in after that, and it's going to go for a Bulk Up here, and I'm going to go for an Ember, and I only do like a quarter. A second one's going to get it down pretty low, and we get the burn off, which is wonderful, and we avoid the Leech Seed, which means one more Ember takes down Skiddo, and that could have gotten very scary very fast. But we take down Palomina. But before we can head back to the university to check in with the professor, Rania wants to battle us, and I was not ready for that. She's going to start off by sending in a Weasel. Oh my gosh. And here's Crystal. Why is he so big? Anyways, here's Bingo as he goes for a Water Gun. Another Water Gun comes in, getting me down pretty low, and then a third one gets me down to 8. I'm going to swap out into Misery here now as she goes for another Water Gun. Another Water Gun comes in, and I'm going to go for a Feint Attack, grabbing the KO on Buizel, leading into Bellsprout, who's going to go for a Growth, and we're going to go for a Feint Attack, scoring a pretty big hit as we get put to sleep. I'm then going to swap out and send in Woody as the Bellsprout goes for a Vine Whip. Holy moly, that did a lot of damage, and we can take it down with a Peck. Finally, Vulpix comes in, and I'm going to swap out and send in Sanic as the Vulpix goes for an Ember. I'm going to get locked into a rollout, which at this point was an absolutely terrible idea, but I get disabled. Thanks for saving me. which means we can swap out back into Crystal as another Ember comes in. It goes for a quick attack, and I accidentally go for an Ember, activating Flash Fire, and then after using Howl, it's going to disable it. I also see the Vulpix has had the Fairy type added to it, which is awesome, and at +1 a scratch does an okay amount of damage. Vulpix is going to go for an Empowered Ember, which still fortunately only does a few damage to us, and with a scratch we got this bad boy down in the red, and one more takes it out. And hard mode is not messing around here, I've got to just let everybody know, but we defeat Reyna. Reyna? Somebody tell me. While fighting our way to our second badge, we're going to have some evolutions. First up is going to be Crystal, who evolves into Brexian. And oh my gosh, this sprite. Ooh, Magical Leaf, that's fun. Next up's going to be Woody to evolve, and once she does, I think that, oh my gosh, this Trumbeak sprite. Bingo's up next, and she is going to ascend into a Herdier. On the Riverwalk Trail, we're going to grab ourselves an Aaron. Try this again, huh? And now it's time for us to face off against Arani in her Rock and Steel type Pokemon. She starts off with Cloth, and we send in Sanic. It goes for a Rock Smash, doing just a little bit of damage, and unfortunately it does get the defense drop, and we're going to go for a Magnitude, scoring a 6, which is going to get it down just to about half. Another Rock Smash comes in, lowering me some even more, but we score a 9 this time, finishing off Cloth, which leads into Mawile. And assuming a Play Rough or something, I'm going to swap out into Crystal, as it does indeed. It does lower my attack, but that doesn't matter. We're going to get the Burn Off, which is awesome. And it's going to go for a Taunt, which is entirely fine with me. And one more Ember takes out Mawile. Next up's going to come Hisui and Sneasel. And after tanking a Rock Smash, we can go for a ×4 Psybeam, taking it out. Which leads into Larvitar. And I'm going to go for a Magical Leaf, and let's hope it's enough to take out Larvitar. And oh my god, it was! And we managed to defeat Arani without losing anybody. And after speaking to Rania, they're going to go ahead and give us 2 more Wishing Stars. Now, the way we're going to deal with Wishing Stars is going to be the same way that we dealt with it in Emerald Seaglass. Anytime we get any number of them, that will count as 1 free encounter. Especially since on hard mode, even the regular trainers have been like wicked hard. So for our second Wishing Star encounter, we're going to grab ourselves a Drowsy. And while getting to the level cap, Sanic is gonna go ahead and evolve into Sandslash. And in the Wanderer's Woods, we're gonna grab ourselves an Impdimp. In the forest, we run into our 2 friends who want to accompany us to the next town. The gym leader, Cleo, there specializes in both Psychic and Ghost, and that'll really help Nico out with his research. But we're gonna run into a couple of Chimera goons blocking the way. And I don't know what they're trying to do to that Impdimp, but I don't like it. And after giving those wild Pokemon the chance to run away, I guess it's going to be time for us to battle them. Ooh, I love that sprite. Anyways, here comes a Magnemite and a Zigzagoon, and hopefully not a Hisui and Arcanine. And I'm going to swap out into Misery here as Sanic scores a Magnitude 10. Oh boy, howdy, I should have probably have kept Peek in there. As Misery gets knocked down crazy low, but luckily we knock out both of the Chimera Grunt's Pokemon, which is going to lead into a Tauros as well as a Grimer. And let's try that again, shall we? I'm going to swap into Woody as a Horn attack comes into Sanic, knocking it down low enough to activate its berry, and we're going to score a 9 on our Magnitude this time, which is crazy. Tauros takes barely any damage due to the Intimidate, but Grimer does go down. A Horn attack is going to come down, bringing me down to about half, and I'm going to go for a Rock Smash with Woody, lowering this thing's defense as a Crush Claw brings it down quite low. It goes for another Horn attack, but we can go for another Rock Smash, taking it out. And I guess that admin's Arcanine is only for show. And apparently that Arcanine was knocked out while fighting those wild Pokemon. So that completely explains why he didn't have it. And even though we're supposed to be watching this guy, he just literally runs away. And I hear screaming in the distance. And I will check on Rania. After we regroup with our friends, Rania discovers that Team Chimera drops a Pokemon egg like nothing they've ever seen before. And I should take it, because since I'm going to be walking around, I'll do enough steps to make it hatch. For our next encounter, we're going to fish up a Magikarp. Also, looking at the documentation, I found out, so a bunch of the encounters are marked differently on the documentation than they are as tags in the game, so I'm going to use that, otherwise we're not going to have very many encounters. So while heading over to the Pythos Cemetery, we can grab a Goomy. On the Uranus path, we're going to grab an Ammonite. And now it's time for us to face off against Cleo in her Ghost Psychic combination team thing. She sends in Mimikyu, we send in Sanic. It's going to go for a Snarl on the first turn, which isn't that big of a deal, but that's a weird move for a Mimikyu to have. So of course, it's a dirty Dora trick. Cleo then uses the Super Potion, and we score a Magnitude 7, this time scoring a pretty massive hit. She then uses her second potion, and another 7 is going to bring it down low. Dora then goes for a Will-O-Wisp, which is kind of a buzzkill, but whatever, we can take it down on the following turn, which leads into Bruxish. So let's swap out and send in Lemon, getting the Intimidate off on the Bruxish as it goes for a Water Pulse. Fortunately, we're not confused. It is going to bite us though, doing barely anything, but we do flinch, and another one is going to do what it do, and we get it down below half. But with one more bite, we take down Bruxish. Leading into Bronzor. I don't know why I said it like that, but we're going to swap into Crystal as it goes for a Psywave. We can go for an Ember, doing like a third as it does another Psywave, doing a crap ton more this time. Jeepers Crow. Our Fire Spin does a lot, and luckily the Dot will take it down, and we stay up on 7. Which leads into Noctowl, who I know has Shadow Tag in this game, so we're going to go for a Fire Spin, and hopefully it goes for something that doesn't hit me, but it goes for a Psybeam, and our starter goes down. So let's send in Bingo. It's going to put me to sleep right away with a Hypnosis, which is a little frustrating, and then going for a Dream Eater, it scores a massive critical hit. I do wake up right away, which is great, and it hits me again with another Hypnosis. And since I'm Shadow Tagged in here, I can't do anything, and Bingo's going to go down too. So here's Misery. It hits another Hypnosis. It's going to go for a Wing Attack as I just continue to be a sleepy little Misery, and I'm going to get knocked down to about half, go for a Feint Attack, doing quite a bit of damage. We can follow up with a Shadow Sneak, taking down Noctowl after that, which leads into our ace, Mimikyu. And I'm going to go for a Shadow Sneak to break the disguise on this thing, and it's going to go for a Play Rough, taking me down. So it's all up to Lemon. We're going to get the Intimidate off on this thing, and it's going to go for another Play Rough, getting me down to like nothing. So let's swap into Hope, because maybe all my hope rests on you, and a Shadow Claw does like a lot. Another Shadow Claw is going to get me down to just 18 HP, and an Iron Head scores a crit. Oh my gosh. And we just lost half of our team, including our starter. But we are still in this game. And just like a peek behind the curtain, this is like my third run, all wiped on Cleo. So that's a really cool thing to actually bring up. Other than their ace, each gym leader has a bunch of different options, which is really neat. And look at this little fellow we're grabbing in Frostlass Cavern. We're going to find a Cantonian Tauros in the Asphalt Hills. We also run into Nico, who wants to challenge us to our first rival battle. Nico's going to go ahead and send in Mudbray, and we send in Snooze. I'm going to go for a Nasty Plot right away to double our special attack, as Mudbray goes for a high horsepower, doing quite a bit to us. We'll go for a Psybeam, getting it down low, as another high horsepower comes in, getting me down to just 8, holy smokes, and then we take it down. Next out comes Cyclizar. So we're going to swap out, sending in Loki in case he's going to go for a Dragon move, as he goes for a Rock Smash. Another Rock Smash is going to lower our defense even more, and we're going to go for a Covet, doing just over half. We can take another Rock Smash, and one more Covet will take down Cyclizar, which leads into Duskull. So we're going to swap it out into Lemon, getting the Intimidate off as Duskull goes for a Will-O-Wisp. That's annoying. It's going to go for a Shadow Sneak afterwards, and we can still do about half. And did the Shadow Sneak do any damage? Anyways, we're going to go for another one as Nico uses a Super Potion. We're going to continue going for bites as another Shadow Sneak comes in, and we got this guy low again, where one more Shadow Sneak gets us to half, and we take out Duskull. And with that, we've defeated Nico. Nico then tells us about these two statues and how they represent two brothers of the Ilios region. The left one was a mighty king, the one on the right a humble poet. They both pursued happiness in different ways, and that will probably be connected and important in some fashion just a little bit later. Nico also states that Team Chimera seems to have goals aligned with the mighty king on the left, accumulating power and wealth being the most important thing, and that they've also set up a camp somewhere nearby, looking for a hidden treasure, some sort of keystone, perhaps. Just the type that we would slap on a bracelet, if you get my drift. So our path is clear. Not only do we need to get our 4th badge, but we also need to get Mega Evolution. And after finding Team Chimera's not-so-secret Temple Base. We run into Terpsichore, the local gym leader, and she needs our help in fending off these goons. So let's go ahead and do that so we can get the Keystone. Chimera's gonna send in a Mankey as well as a Gligar, and we send in Snooze and Hope. A Psybeam on the Mankey is gonna grab the Oko. Gligar goes for an Acrobatics, doing quite a bit of damage to our Snooze, and then a Rock Slide does not do a lot to Gligar. Quagsire comes in next, and I'm gonna swap out Snooze and send in Woody. The Gligar's gonna go for a Sand Tomb, doing an insane amount of damage. Quagsire's gonna go for an Amnesia, then a Headbutt on Gligar does like nothing. So I need to hope the Bullet Seed can take down the Gligar before the Sand Tomb takes down Hope, and it doesn't, but we do get the flinch off, which is great because I gave the King's Rock to Woody, and obviously 5 hits on the berry is going to do something. Hope can then go for a Rock Slide, doing a little bit of damage to Quagsire and quite a bit to Gligar. Woody's then going to go for another set of Bullet Seeds on Gligar, taking it down, which is going to free Hope, and hopefully this Quagsire doesn't go for it, as it goes for a triple dive. And down goes Hope. So here comes Lemon. And so does Onix. An Ice Fang on the Quagsire does like a third, and I'm going to go for a Bullet Seed on the Onix because I need to make sure it doesn't use any rock moves on Woody or Lemon, so we take it down right away, and Quagsire is going to get up to +6 with its Amnesias. Lemon goes for another Ice Fang, and then Woody can go for a Bullet Seed, and then we can take down Quagsire. And with all that, we take care of the grunts, but unfortunately, we lost another Pokemon. I grabbed a Syrupy Apple, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope that Tart can survive long enough to evolve, but let's add this into the party. And now it's time for us to take on Terpsichore and her fighting psychic team. Heracross starts off, we send in Lemon. We get the Intimidate off on this bad boy as it goes for a Bullet Seed, which is going to do just a bit of damage to us, and we can fire back with an Ice Fang. I'm then going to swap out and send in Woody as it starts going for more Bullet Seeds, which is not going to do a whole heck of a lot to us. It then goes for Arm Thrusts, which are going to knock us down way below half, and I'm going to go for a Flame Charge here, getting it down to about half. And now we're faster than it, so a Pluck will take Heracross out, which leads into Pomo. So we're going to swap into Stanek as it goes for a Spark. It then goes for a Slam, which apparently in this game works like Dragon Tail, so now here comes Tart. It's going to go for an Arm Thrust, which doesn't do a lot, and I guess I'll go for a Bullet Seed and see what we can do here, and we do just over half. Now it goes for another set of Arm Thrusts, and we can go for some more Bullet Seeds, taking out Pomo, which leads into Unknown, who's going to go for a Freezing Glare, getting me down to 23. We'll heal up, and I'm going to go for some more Bullet Seeds here, and I feel like an Unknown should take more damage than that. So I'm going to swap out into Loki as it tries to go for another Freezing Glare, and she swaps out, sending in Meditite. I'm going to go for a False Surrender, scoring a pretty massive hit as it goes for a Detect. I am then going to go for a Sucker Punch and take Meditite down, which is going to lead into Unknown again. And then she swaps out into Mindful, who is going to go for a Fake Out, which I should have probably saw coming, and then a Meditate. I'm going to go for a Covet, doing about half, as it goes for a Drain Punch, destroying Loki and healing all the way back up. So I send in Lemon, but it has Inner Focus. So I guess I'll go for an Ice Fang, and it's going to go for another Drain Punch, doing quite a bit to me. It then goes for a Detect, protecting itself, and we can go for another Ice Fang, getting it down low, as another Draining Punch gets me down to just 20. One more takes it down, and then Unknown comes in as her final Pokemon, who Lemon can quickly bite, taking down. And with that, we win, but we lost another Mon. And while getting closer to the level cap, Woody is going to ascend into Trumbeak, into Toucannon. In Kippos Town, we're going to grab ourselves a Magnemite. And it's above the level cap right now, but we find a Pyroar in the Last Light Hills. I totally forgot, but after beating up Team Chimera, we did manage to grab a Mega Keystone, which Nico says that we can keep because we're the field researchers, so we should probably have it. He also gives us Surf, so all I need now is some Mega Stones. Okay, awesome. So Nico actually sells a bunch of them, including some custom ones like Noctoolite, Heliotite, Weirdurite, Ribombiite, and Tinkatite. But for now, we'll give Lemon the Gyarados, since it's the only Pokemon we have that can Mega Evolve. Completely forgetting I didn't catch anything in Sulfuro City, we're going to grab ourselves a Noctowl. So welcome back to the Team Gabora. And this does mean that we'll get to see one of the custom Mega Evolutions with Noctoolite. I just wish our IVs were a little better. He gets a hat! In the western part of the Asteroid Sea, we grab a Cutifen. And on Momoro Island, we're gonna grab ourselves a Tinkatink. And on the Sea of Acerti, we're gonna grab ourselves a Crabrawler. On Mirini Island, we're gonna grab a White Basculin. Needing to change up our party because the next gym is a Poison and Water Trainer, we're gonna add Winzip to the squad and evolve them into Magneton. And before we take on the next gym, I am gonna have Snapper use Double Edge like, I don't know, a bunch of times, and it'll eventually evolve into Basculegion. And now let's take on a Tupri and her Water Poison squad. Gyarados comes in and so does mine. And now at this point in the game, I'm pretty sure the level caps are a lie. And look at that, Mega Evolution on her lead Pokemon. Cool. Well, at least my Rock Smash will not only lower defense, but it will also be super effective. It then goes for an Ice Fang, which is a really crappy move here, and we can swap out into Winzip. So hopefully it goes for another Ice Fang, and it doesn't. So let's work on lowering this thing's attack. So now with Lemon, it's at -2, and then Aqua Tail comes in doing a little bit. Now with Frank, it's at -3, as it goes for a Bite. Back to Lemon, we're at -4 on this bad boy now, and hopefully it stops doing damage to me. And we can start going for Rock Smashers. I'm going to get it down to about a half, as now Lemon is in a really tough spot here, and another Ice Fang is going to come in, getting me down quite low. Etupri is going to go ahead and do what she do, and I got her down to half, which means one more takes down the Mega Gyarados. Next up is Hypno. And I know I'm faster than this thing, but I don't really know what to do here, so let's go for an Aqua Tail, and then a knockoff grabs the KO on my Gyarados. Frank's the only Pokemon I have faster than Hypno. Why is my team so slow? Anyways, we get the Intimidate off. I'm going to go for a Workup here, and hopefully that can do something here. As a knockoff, it's going to knock off my Citrus Berry. We can then go for a Horn Attack, bringing it low, and a Side Beam brings me down low, and we can grab the KO. Which leads into Haunter next. And I'm definitely not faster than a Haunter. Wait, somehow I am, and Pursuit can grab the crit KO. Oh my gosh, Frank, thank you. Which leads into Dragalge. I'm going to pivot into Winzip because I assume it's going to go for a Poison move here as it goes for Venoshock. I then go for a Metal Sound as it goes for a Water Pulse, doing about a third. From here, I'm going to go for a Tri-Attack, and hopefully we can grab a Status Condition, and we do paralyze it, which is great, as I get knocked down to just 1. He then uses a full heal, so we can go for a Mirror Shot, bringing it down low, and another Mirror Shot will take out Dragalge, which means in comes Shedinja. I'm going to swap back into Frank here because I don't really know what to do, and we're going to get the Intimidate off on the Shedinja as it goes for a Bellstinger. But luckily we outspeed, so a Pursuit will take down Shedinja, which means her final Pokemon, her Ace Tentacruel, comes in. And assuming a Poison move, we're going to swap out into Winzip as it goes for an Acid Spray. And I was hoping I'd be faster, but I forget how fast Tentacruel is, and we get taken out with a Water Pulse. So let's send in Gabora. I was really hoping to get the Metal Sound off, but we're going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Noctowl as it goes for an Acid Spray, doing barely anything to us. But I don't love that special defense drop. What I do love is that I did about half. So let's go ahead and go for another extra Sentry, getting this thing down wicked low. And I think all it can hit me with is Acid Spray and Water Pulse. And we take down Tentacruel. And we defeat our 5th gym leader, and this game is not messing around on hard mode. After the battle, we find Rania being harassed by a bunch of Team Chimera goon. Now enter the Team Chimera boss, who reprimands these guys for going to the wrong place. They're supposed to be getting the key to awaken an ancient Pokemon, which maybe they shouldn't have said out loud, because now we know what they're trying to do. She then introduces herself as Kalliope, the leader of Team Chimera. She tells us that Team Chimera is looking for a rare and ancient Pokemon called Lazarus Taxa, and that they are the ultimate financial opportunity, because nothing sells big like rare Pokemon. And her ultimate dream is to use rare and legendary Pokemon to put herself at the top of every industry, which would definitely be a good idea for the world. And honestly, if Pokemon were real, big corporations probably would use rare or legendary Pokemon to help with mining and stuff, though this isn't completely out of the realm of possibility. And I love that as a twist. It's not about world domination, it's just straight up about making more money more quickly, without regard to the impact that would have on the world. She then takes her leave. Entropy then lets us know that Kalliope used to be the 8th gym leader, and when Team Chimera mysteriously showed up and took over the entirety of the town, they assumed that she was captured, not the leader of Team Chimera. So this whole thing is just like a more grown-up version of Team Rocket, which is kind of fun. And I feel like I am getting the absolute worst luck with natures and IVs on these Pokemon. Look how low Grisham's special attack is. For our next encounter, we're going to grab ourselves a Corellia. Next up, we follow Team Chimera over to some mines on Mamuro Island, where the Arcanine admin already has the mining foreman pinned down. And apparently Mamoswine admin already got away with the key that they've been looking for. So after we beat the crap out of them, they reveal that the ancient mechanism was divided into 2 parts. And now that they have both pieces, the next stage of their plan can finally come to fruition. Then he just leaves. We meet up with Reina, Rania. Somebody tell me which one it's supposed to be because I keep going back and forth. Anyways, they reveal that Lazarus Taxana is just another way of saying fossil Pokemon, and that a couple have been spotted nearby, and our help is needed to save those poor little fossil boys. And apparently we're having a rival battle I was not ready for. Floatzel comes in, we send in Frank. Luckily we have Hornleech now, so Floatzel can get knocked down pretty low as it goes for a Swift. Reina's then gonna heal up, but that's totally fine because 2 more Hornleeches take down Floatzel, which leads into Flareon. So let's go for a Body Slam, and we're going to get the paralysis off, which is awesome, and it goes for a Fire Fang Burning Knee. So let's swap out into Snapper, and luckily it's paralyzed. So with an Aqua Tail, we take out Flareon, which is going to lead into Dolphin Dude. And with a Crunch, we take it down pretty low. It goes for a Covet, stealing my Rocky Helmet, which is a little bit of a douchey move, because I'm going to hurt myself, and that's just dandy, as Weeping Bell comes in last. So let's swap out into Grisham here, as a Razor Leaf comes in. We can go for a Fire Fang, grab ourselves the Yoko, and we defeat Reina. Rania? This person. We find the Craniatos and Shieldon that we heard about just mere moments ago, with this Chimera bug trying to steal them. After defeating them, him and his Spiritomb are just gonna run away. Nico arrives just in time to help take care of these 2 wounded little fossils. He takes them back to the university so that way they can be properly cared for, and it's going to be time for us to head towards our next badge. Next up, while diving, we're going to find ourselves a Sprout. On Palatai City, we're going to grab a Baltoy. No, we're not. We're going to grab ourselves a Cyclizar over at the Fresco Isles. Next, we're going to grab ourselves a Cloth over in Palatai City. And now it's going to be time for us to face off against Tal and Mel and their ground electric dudes and dudettes. Electrode and Crocodile come in, and we send in Sanic and Tard. So I'm going to swap out Sanic right away into Frank to get an Intimidate off on their side of the field, as the Electrode is going to go for a Grassy Glide, doing just a bit of damage. Crocodile is then going to go for a Crunch on Tart, and we're going to go for a Syrup Bomb on the Crocodile to try to lower its speed. Fortunately, Electrode is going to go for a Thunder Wave, which is a little frustrating, and then Crocodile is going to go for a Bulldoze, which is just going to do more damage to Electrode than it is to anybody else, but whatever here. It does set up the grassy terrain, which is kind of neat. And then we're going to go ahead and go for a Workup on Frank, and a Giga Drain on Crocodile. We'll take it down as we heal up. And I guess thanks for the grassy terrain, because that's just going to negate all the damage that we take from the Sandstorm. Anyways, here comes Steelix. I'm going to swap out a Tart and into Snapper, as Steelix goes ahead and Mega Evolves into Mega Steelix. Electrode's going to go for a Charge Beam, bringing Frank down quite low, and we will heal up with our Chesto Berry. Then an Ice Fang from Steelix is going to do just a bit to Snapper, and we're going to do some damage back with the Rocky Helmet as we go for a Rock Smash on Steelix, and we don't do much of anything, but we will drop its defense a little bit. Assuming another Charge Beam, I'm going to swap out into Tart this time, as it tries to Thunder Wave one of us, but luckily it misses. An Iron Head from Steelix annihilates Frank, and down goes my best Pokemon. So I guess here's Sanic. A Grassy Glide is going to do a little bit of damage to Sanic as I go for a Swords Dance, and then I'm going to go for a Giga Drain on Steelix, bringing it down to about half as it goes for an Ice Fang, which absolutely deletes my little apple. So let's send in Rumor. Rumor's going to go for a Drain Punch on Steelix, doing barely anything as Thunder Wave is going to be used on Rumor. Then we go for a Cross Poison on Electrode, taking it down. A Bulldoze from Steelix is going to do a little bit of damage to my side of the field. And let's see who they send in next. And that's going to be Lantern. Lantern goes for a Signal Beam, confusing me and getting me down below half, but we will heal up with our Citrus Berry as an Ice Fang comes in, KOing Vroomer. We do get a Magnitude 7 off, which is going to bring Lantern down low and KO Steelix though. And Lantern will also get taken down because of the Sandstorm. So here come Mudscale, Snooze, and Raichu. Raichu fortunately misses a Psychic, and I can go for a knockoff, bringing it down to about half. Mudscale goes for a Bulldoze, which is going to do a little bit of damage to our side of the field, and KO Raichu, which means we can go for a nice laugh on Mudscale, doing about a third. Snooze goes for a Psychic, bringing Mudscale down below half as another Bulldoze comes in, lowering my speed on Sanic and getting me down below half, and doing the same thing to Snooze. But now we are in a decent spot here. I'm going to swap into Snapper just in case here, as Mudscale goes for a heavy slam, which obviously we can resist. And with the Rocky Helmet, we take down Mudscale, and my team is absolutely in shambles. I was so close to getting Hydrapple. I am so angry. And Tauros is the only fast Pokemon I've had for like this entire run. But we earned our next badge. So let's see where we go from here. But before we can face off against the next gym, Rania has something to say about that. They send in Ninetales and we send in Snapper. Tries to go for a Will-O-Wisp, but fortunately the Ninetales misses, and we can go for an Aqua Tail, scoring a massive hit and the KO. Leading into Jumpluff. I'm going to swap from Snapper into Gabora as it goes for a Leech Seed. I'm then going to Mega Evolve into Mega Noctowl here as it goes for an Acrobatics, which is going to do barely anything, and we can take it out with an Air Slash. Leading into Mawile. So we're going to swap back into Sanic here as it tries to go for a Sucker Punch. We can then go for a Swords Dance as it goes for an Iron Head. Then we score a Magnitude 6 and we can take out Mawile. Then their Ace Victory Bell comes in next. And I'm going to swap out into Snooze as Victory Bell goes ahead and Mega Evolves into Mega Victory Bell, going for a Gastro Acid. I'm then going to go for a Psychic, scoring a pretty big hit as a knockoff does about half. Rania then heals up and we can go for 2 more Psychics, bringing down Victory Bell. And with that, we defeat Rania. And now it's going to be time for us to face off against Radine and her Fire Flying Squad. Oricorio Ballet comes in and we send in a Liffid. It's going to go for an Air Slash, which we can tank really well, and we're going to go for an Ancient Power, bringing it down really low. It then doesn't bother healing up as another Air Slash comes in, and we can break through, going for 1 more Ancient Power, and we actually get the boost, which leads into Braviary. And this is a little risky, but I'm going to stay in, and it was a bad call because Superpower, and now I go down. So I guess here's Sanic. It goes for a Slash, and we go for a Swords Dance. It's going to set up a Tailwind, which is a little unfortunate, but most of my Pokemon are slow anyway, so who cares? Rocks. Next out comes Togekiss. It's going to go for a Yawn, which is frustrating, but with the power of Rocks, we can take it down low. I'm then going to swap out into Gabora, assuming an Air Slash or something, as it goes for an extra Sensory. She then uses this opportunity to heal up Togekiss, and I'm going to Mega Evolve and go for an Air Slash here. She then swaps out, sending an Arcanine, getting the Intimidate off, and I go for an Air Slash. So let's send Sanic back in here as it goes for a Rock Slide, which we can resist. Then following up with a Flamethrower, Sanic goes down, who's been like the MVP of this run, and we're going to send in Loft the Cloth. It's going to go for a Flamethrower, which will resist, but it still does a lot, and we go for a Swords Dance. It then follows up with a Crunch, getting me down really low, and a Crab Hammer takes down Arcanine. Togekiss comes back in, where it goes for an extra Sensory, taking down Loft the Cloth. So here's Gabora, going for a Yawn, which is really frustrating, and we go for a Relic Song, doing a little bit. So let's swap out into Snooze as it goes for a Moonblast, getting me down low. But I don't really have a better option here, so I have to stay in and let Snooze get taken out. So here comes Snapper. And after getting yawned again, we can go for an Aqua Tail, taking out Togekiss. Which means Salazzle comes in next. It's going to go for a Toxic, which is not what I was prepared for, and we go for an Aqua Tail, grabbing the Yoko. But that does also mean that I won't get put to sleep as Toucannon comes in. Toucannon is then going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Toucannon, who is amazing, and I love that there's a Peaky Peck next to it. Anyways, it goes for a Drill Cannon, which is going to nail me down low. The Rocky Helmet does some stuff. Oh, it's got Parental Bond. That's really cool. Anyways, we're going to go for an Aqua Tail, taking it down, and my team just got absolutely destroyed. But at least we have Snapper and Noctowl. Radine then lets us know that the gym leaders have been trying to find a way to strike back at Team Chimera, and they plan to surround them at Ario's hideout. But then, an explosion. Heading back outside, there's a crazy amount of rain, and this seems somehow familiar. I don't know why. The gym leaders wanting to stop the evil team, an insatiable rainstorm. I must be overthinking this. She then lets us know that Team Chimera's ultimate plan is to summon the 3 legendary beasts. Now into Rania, letting us know that Team Chimera has taken over the entirety of Sappho City. So we've got to do something about that. And Radine says that she'll come with us too. So apparently we fast forward right to there, so we can try and save Nico, who was taken hostage. And it appears as though we're too late. Kalliope has already revived and captured all 3 legendary doggos. She then holds up the ancient mechanism that the admins had been searching for earlier in the video, and all 3 legendary doggos revert to their past paradox forms. But these aren't your ordinary Mega Evolutions anymore. These are permanent DNA altering Mega Evolutions, which are way better and cooler because they're from the past. She then gives Gouging Fire to Arcanine Man, and Walking Wake to Mamoswine Guy, and she will keep Raging Bolt. And then with another flash, they're all gone. And just when all hope is lost, Nico reveals that there's other legendary Pokemon of land, air, and sea. And once again, this all seems incredibly familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. There we go, those 3. Nico and Rania are gonna go hunt down Groudon, Radine, Kyogre, and once we help them deal with those 2, we should head over and take care of Rayquaza, because of course we should. When we go and try to confront Groudon, Arcanite Admin is already here, so I guess we're gonna have to face off against him in Gouging Fire. Cyclizar and Arcanine come in and we send in Snapper and Gabora. Cyclizar is gonna go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Cyclizar, which just looks like Koraidon. That is awesome, and we're gonna evolve as well into Mega Noctowl as this thing goes for a Shift Gear. A Crunch comes in on Gabora, scoring a massive hit, and we go for an Aqua Tail, OHKOing Arcanine. We can then also go for a Moonblast, KOing Cyclizar, which means Pansimian as well as Berserker come in next. And we're going to swap our 2 fellas out and then send in Snips in Seadra instead. Pansimian is going to go for a Bulk Up, and Berserker goes for an Iron Head. I'm going to swap back out and back into Snapper as Snips goes for a Hone Claws, and Pansimian is going to go for an Iron Head here and take a little bit of damage from the Rocky Helmet. Berserker also goes for an Iron Head, which is going to have it take a little bit of damage as well. I'm going to double into Pansimian as this thing decides to go for a frickin' Seed Bomb, destroying Snapper. Then a nice slash from Berserker does a bit of damage. So I guess we send in Dancer here? I'm going to go for a Ceaseless Edge, even though it's not very effective, so we can get some stuff on the ground here, and a close combat is going to knock Snips down wicked low. After that, Dancer can go for a Calm Mind, and Berserker can go for an Iron Head, KOing Snips. So here's Grisham, I guess. Grisham goes for a Blaze Kick, which can KO Berserker, no problem. And then a close combat is also going to KO Grisham. But that leaves it open for a Draining Kiss to KO Pansimian. And I am just about out of Pokemon as Gabora comes back in, and Gouging Fire, as well as Hakamao can come in. Burning Bulwark is going to go ahead and protect Gouging Fire, but that's fine, I wasn't going for him, and we can take it down. Gabora is going to go ahead and rest back up to full. Gouging Fire can go for a Crush Claw, which is going to do a little bit of damage to me, and I don't love the defense drop. I'm going to go for a Psychic, which causes pretty big damage, and then a Bitter Malice will also KO the doggo. And I just lost half my freaking team, but we defeat Chimera Admin Arcanine. But then, with a flash of light, enter Groudon. And after the admin runs away, Groudon bows his head, acknowledging my strength and power. And I guess we're gonna have to face off against him, but he did heal my entire team first. So I'm gonna throw it out there. Since the game wants you to battle Groudon with a full team, I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of that. And with Groudon settled down and that quest complete, let's go move on to Kyogre and Rayquaza. On the east side of Kaptara Island, we're gonna grab a Weeping Bell. And on the west side, we can grab a Golduck. Next up is going to be Chimera Admin Walking Wake / Mamoswine if we want to save the day and recruit Kyogre to our cause. Weirdeer and Mamoswine come in and we send in Dancer and Snapper. Weirdeer's gonna go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Weirdeer. Snapper's gonna go for an Aqua Tail, absolutely annihilating Mamoswine, which is wonderful. Dancer can go for a Draining Kiss, doing about a quarter, and then an Ancient Power on Snapper doesn't do a lot, even though it's a crit. Persian comes in next. Persian's gonna go for a Fake Out on Dancer, as an Aqua Tail does just under half. And then Snapper's gonna get hit with another Ancient Power. Persian then goes for a Dark Pulse on Snapper, getting me down crazy low, and unfortunately I flinch, but we can go for a Draining Kiss with Dancer, annihilating the Persian, eliminating it from the match. And then Weirdeer goes for an Icicle Crash on Dancer, which is gonna lead into Arctozolt. So we're gonna swap out a Snapper and into Grisham, as Dancer goes for a Draining Kiss on Weirdeer, doing about a quarter. Arctozolt goes for a Freeze Dry, which is not going to do really anything to Grisham, and then an Ancient Power does like half. Grisham then goes for a Crunch, doing a little bit to Weirdeer, and then a Draining Kiss is going to get it down wicked low, but not quite low enough, as an Aqua Tail comes in and nails Grisham down. But fortunately, at least Weirdeer is going to flinch. And just like when going up against the last admin, since the game does the reviving for us, I'm going to assume is part of the game. I understand if that's not how you play your Nuzlocke, but it's how I play mine. Anyways, we take down Weirdeer, and then a Freeze Dry from Arctozolt is going to do about half to Seadra, and we go for a Dragon Pulse, doing about half back, which leads into Walking Wake. Walking Wake goes for a Dragon Pulse of his own, annihilating Seadra, and we can go for a big ol' Smooch, doing like 2/3, keeping ourselves healthy as a Thunder Fang comes in. So here's Snips. A Scald from Walking Wake does a lot to Snips, and then we're going to go for a Ceaseless Edge, getting Arctozolt down a little bit, setting up some spikes, and then we go for a Smoochy Kiss, taking down Walking Wake. A Thunder Fang's going to come back in on Dancer, doing quite a bit of damage as Walrein comes in. We're going to do the same thing here, going for another Ceaseless Edge, and with that, Arctozolt is going to get taken down, and then Draining Kiss on Walrein is going to do a little bit so we can get healed up, and an Ice Beam will take out Snips. So Gabora comes in as our only healthy Pokemon. We're then going to Mega Evolve Gabora and double into Walrein, taking it down. And with that, we defeat Chimera admin Mamoswine. So with Kyogre pacified, only Rayquaza remains. Outside the Tower of Dioxphis, we're going to grab a Go-Goat. Check out this sprite. We get to the top of the tower, where we find that Kalliope has already gotten Rayquaza cornered. And that's when she notices that we're there. And she orders Rayquaza to go ahead and use Dragon Ascent on us. To which it refuses the order, because that's not how Pokemon works. So to teach Rayquaza and I a lesson, she's gonna go ahead and take us on herself. And then she'll throw us off the top of the tower. Calliope sends in Tinkaton and Hydrapple, and we send in Turbo and Hoops. Tinkaton is gonna go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Tinkaton, and I love the jackhammer and the goggles as it goes for a Fake Out on Hoops. Turbo can then go for an Ice Beam, immediately KOing Hydrapple. This is gonna lead into Raging Bolt. I'm also gonna swap out into Lily as Tinkaton goes for a Spirit Break, doing about half. Raging Bolt goes for a Calm Mind, and then a high horsepower from Hoops gets it down to about half. I'm then gonna go ahead and have Lily Mega Evolve into Mega Go-Goat. As a Thunderclap comes in on Hoops, doing quite a bit of damage, but we can heal up with a Citrus Berry. A Gigaton Hammer is gonna come in on Lily, grabbing the KO, and a high horsepower will take down Raging Bolt. Well, hopefully we don't lose here, and we're gonna go ahead and swap out into Turbo as Silvally comes in. Tinkaton's gonna go for a Spirit Break on Hoops, doing barely anything, but it will drop our special attack. I'm gonna go for a Psychic on Tinkaton, which I know won't do a lot, and I was even on a crit. A Crush Claw is gonna get Hoops down wicked low, and then a high horsepower gets Tinkaton really low as well. I'm gonna swap into Snapper, and a Spirit Break on it is gonna activate the Rocky Helmet, which is gonna KO Tinkaton. I'm then gonna go for a Sparkling Aria, which I forgot exactly what it did here, so I'm gonna need to fix that, and Silvally tried to go for a Crush Claw, which obviously didn't do anything. So here's Tyrantrum. Turbo can go for an Ice Beam on Tyrantrum, doing a lot of damage. Silvally goes for a multi-attack, which is gonna KO Snapper, and then a Crunch on Turbo gets him down really low. So here comes Dancer. Turbo's gonna go for a Hyper Voice, which isn't gonna do a whole heck of a lot of anything, and then he's immediately gonna get KO'd as we go for a Smoochy Kiss on Tyrantrum, finishing it off. So here comes Gabora, I guess, as Dracozolt comes in. Dovali's going to go for a multi-attack on Gabora, and a Breaking Swipe is going to do just a little bit to Gabora. A Moonblast on Dracozont's going to do a lot, and then a Draining Kiss should be able to finish it off, which it does. Dovali's going to go for a multi-attack, which will KO Gabora, but we can go for a big ol' smooch, bringing Savali down really low. So here comes the hoops. An Iron Head on Dancer's going to do a lot, but we'll heal up with our Citrus Berry before taking it down. And just like with the other two, as long as they get revived before we have to face off against Rayquaza, I'm going to count the feints as mulligans. Again, if that's not how you want to do your Nuzlocks, that's fine. But if the game literally makes me revive them, then that's just the way it is. After the battle, the two admins rush up to the top of the tower as well to comfort their fallen master. And also with all three of them defeated, the weather is totally back to normal, which means they won't be able to mine a super bunch of resources or whatever it is they were trying to do. So she and the rest of the admins are gonna go ahead and run back to their hideout, which used to be their gym. So if I track you down, lady, you better give me that gym. Bad. We meet back up with our friends, who confirm the weather's normal, which is great. So our next objective is clear: defeating Team Chimera on their home turf. And then and only then can we save Helios. In Corrin's Crossing, we find a Hisuian Braviary, and as we're starting to get to our final encounters, thank goodness we find a Lanoon. We run into Rania just north of Team Chimera's not-so-secret base, so before we head there together, we've got to have a Pokemon battle. Rania sends in Ninetales and we send in Turbo. It's going to go for a Dazzling Gleam, and we can go for a Surf, taking a pretty big chunk out of it, as Legion is then going to get swapped in, and we do basically no damage to it. We're then going to swap out into Lily as it goes for a Shadow Force. I assume it's faster than me, so I'm going to take the Shadow Force and then go for a Thorn Leech, doing a bunch of damage. Then with a Bitter Malice, it's going to go ahead and lower my attack as one more Horn Leech takes it down. Next out comes Vikavolt. And assuming a Bug Buzz, we're going to swap out into Hoops as it does indeed go for Bug Buzz. It follows up with a Thunderbolt, scoring a massive hit, and we do like nothing with Iron Head. I'm going to swap back out into Lily this time, as a Thunderbolt doesn't do anything. Now to avoid the Bug Buzz again, we'll swap into Gabora, as it does indeed go for a Bug Buzz. We're then going to go ahead and Mega Evolve Gabora, and go for an Air Slash, getting it down quite low, and we should be able to take a Thunderbolt, and we do just barely. Then we take it out, leading into Meteor. So I guess we'll swap back out into Turbo here, as it goes for a Shell Smash. It goes for a second Shell Smash, which honestly, thank goodness, because that means we can go for a Surf and get it down wicked low, and it had a Focus Sash. Oh, that's not good. Ooh, Power Gem. Okay, here's Snapper. Ronnie is gonna heal up, and we go for an Aqua Jet where we can grab the KO, leading into Ninetales. And with another Aqua Jet, we take it down. Next out comes Politoed. And I go for a Shadow Force, but then I forgot this thing is normal, so it's not going to do anything, and then it goes for a Waterfall. But since it didn't do anything, I guess I'll stay in and go for a Crunch as we get the defense drop, and another Waterfall does what it does, and they take a little bit more damage from the Rocky Helmet, so then we can take the Politoed out. Which leads into their ace, Victory Bell. Assuming a Grass move, I'm going to swap into Hoops, as the Victory Bell is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, going for a Leaf Blade, which I cannot believe it took down Hoops. Okay, here's Dancer, who can outspeed with a Psychic, taking it down quite low, as we then get put to sleep. But we are rocking a Lumberry, so with one more Psychic, we take out Victory Bell. I can't believe that I lost two Pokemon, but honestly, that could have been way worse. And you know what? I would be ready to kick Team Chimera's butt if you didn't KO two of my best Pokemon. I forgot that Rania gave us a shiny egg back at the beginning of the game, so I'm going to run around for like forever until it hatches into a Kabuto. And I cannot make these IVs up. What is going on with my luck? At least its speed is good. And on the next trials, we're going to grab a Berserker. At the Ariel's hideout, we're going to grab ourselves a Bolton. And after making it to Team Chimera's not-so-secret base, it's going to be time for us to face off against Kalliope in an epic showdown. Remember, she starts off with Hydrapple and we send in Kirby. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Tinkaton, going for a Fake Out because of course I do. For that, we follow up with a Spirit Break, doing a bunch of damage, as Hydrapple goes for a Burning Jealousy, doing just a bit of damage to Kirby. Kalliope is going to go ahead and heal all the way back up, and we can go for another two Spirit Breaks, taking out Hydrapple. Next out comes Tinkaton. And her Tinkaton is going to also Mega Evolve into Mega Tinkaton, and it's going to go for a Fake Out because, like, duh. From here, it's going to go for a Spirit Break, not doing a whole heck of a lot, but it will lower our special attack, and we can go for a Gigaton Hammer, scoring a huge hit. Assuming another Spirit Break, I'm going to swap out into Grisham, as she swaps out as well into Dracozolt. So we're going to swap into Lily as it goes for a Breaking Swipe. With another Breaking Swipe, I'm down to about half, and we go for an Earthquake, and it does not do a lot. So we're going to swap into Dancer, assuming another Breaking Swipe, and we can avoid it. It then goes for a Stomping Tantrum. Holy moly, that did a lot, and we go for a Calm Mind. So let's swap into Snapper, I guess, as it goes for another Stomping Tantrum, which is going to be fine. It then goes for a Breaking Swipe, lowering my attack, which is frustrating, and we're going to go for a Shadow Force. And then we can come back into reality and take it down, which is going to lead into Grimmsnarl. And I guess I'll send in Grisham. I don't really know what to do here, if I'm being completely honest, and it's going to go for a Bulk Up. It goes for a second Bulk Up, and we're going to go for a Blaze Kick, and we do not do a lot. It's going to go for a third Bulk Up, and we are in serious trouble here, as a Hyper Voice does like nothing, and it's going to keep on getting so jacked up. And then now we got it down wicked low, and a Spirit Break, luckily at +4, still does not do a lot. And we can go for another Hyper Voice, taking out Grimmsnarl. So, Silvally. I'm going to swap out into Gabora as it goes for a Crush Claw. It then goes for a multi-attack, doing like half to me, and we go for an Air Slash. Now, it did like exactly half to me, so I'm going to risk it, and that was a bad answer, and Gabora goes down. So I guess I'll send in Grisham. I don't know if I'm going to be faster or not, and the answer is no, as I get knocked down to 17 HP, and we do not do a lot with Blaze Kick. So I guess I'll swap into Snapper, as it goes for an Iron Head this time. And luckily we can take it out on the following turn because of the Rocky Helmet doing a bit of damage, which leads into Tinkaton again. Let's go for another Aqua Jet here, taking it down as well, which means Raging Bolt is all she has left. I'm gonna assume an electric move since I'm water, so we swap into Lily and it goes for a Calm Mind. It then goes for a second Calm Mind, and we're gonna go for a Horn Leech, and it does like nothing, and I'm just trying to heal up a little bit. It goes for a third Calm Mind, so let's go for an Earthquake, I guess, and we get it down quite low, as it then goes for a Dragon Pulse, KOing Lily. So here comes Kirby. So let's go for a Fake Out, getting it down pretty low, and then we outspeed with a Spirit Break, taking down Raging Bolt. And we defeat Kalliope, but we did lose 2 more Pokemon. But with her defeat, the 3 beasts revert back to their normal forms, and they don't want to listen to her anymore, and they all just want to go home. But not before Raikou gives us our 8th badge? Thanks, buddy. But she declares that this isn't the last we've seen of her, before commanding her 2 admins to use digs so the 3 of them can escape, and they do. When we get outside, Rania lets us know that Team Chimera has been captured, and that the gym leaders for once in a region have actually done their job, just like in another game when they did their jobs. It might be the game this game is built on top of. Wink. Polymnia then comes up to us and lets us know that her and the other gym leaders have decided that it's about time to start the Elite Four back up. And who better to have those jobs than them? So I wonder if that, and since Rania only named the first 4 gym leaders, I wonder if the 4 of them are going to be the Elite Four, or if it can be 4 of any of the gym leaders. Either way, I'm really excited to find out, but let's head over to the league and see if we can become the champions. On the Pollen Road, we grab a Swanna, and it's hilarious that Swanna has Intimidate in this game. But before we can head to the Elite Four, we've got to face Rania off in another rival battle. Floatzel comes in, and we send in Kirby. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve right away, going for a Fake Out, doing a bit of damage. Floatzel is then going to U-turn on out, sending in Typhlosion as we go for a Spirit Break. Now, it didn't do a lot of damage, but it did lower their special attack, and I love this sprite, by the way. Anyways, we swap out into Grisham as it tries to go for a Will-O-Wisp. We can then go for a Crunch, taking out Typhlosion. Next out comes Floatzel again, and we're going to swap out into Goober as it tries to go for a Hydro Pump. It then goes for an Ice Fang, which we tank really well, and with a Power Whip, we get it low. But assuming another Ice Fang, we swap into Snapper, as we do indeed get Ice Fanged. And luckily, the Rocky Helmet damage will take down Floatzel, which will lead into Spiritomb. So we can swap back into Kirby as it goes for a foul play. And we go for a Spirit Break, grabbing ourselves the Oko. This leads into Vikavolt next. I'm going to go for a Gigaton Hammer because I don't really have anything good to swap into, if I'm being honest, and we do about 2/3 as it goes for a Dig. So we're going to swap out and into Daisy as it's going to go ahead and try to dig us. I'm going to stay in and go for a Bleak Wind Storm since I know it'll be neutral and we can take it out. Leading into Aurorus. So once again, we can swap into Kirby here as it goes for a Freeze Dry. And going for an Iron Head, we can take it down immediately. So Victory Bell's up last. So we're going to swap out into Grisham as it Mega Evolves and goes for a Stun Spore. It then goes for a knockoff, knocking off my King's Rock, and we can go for a Blaze Kick, scoring a pretty massive hit. Another knockoff does what it do, but Blaze Kick will take out Victory Bell. And we defeat Rania. And clearly I was wrong about the level cap, so I'm not sure what it is. We'll find out in a second. And if I had just waited on Goodra, I could have bought metal coats here. Oh well. Alright everybody, now that we've made it to the ruins of Iowa, it's time to take a look at our final team before we face off against the Elite Four. First up, we have Kirby the Tinkaton, with Spirit Break, Iron Head, Fake Out, and Gigaton Hammer. Dancer the Gardevoir, with Psychic, Raining Kiss, Thunderbolt, and Calm Mind. Grisham the Pyroar, with Blaze Kick, Thunderfang, Crunch, and Hyper Voice. Snapper the Basculegion, with Aqua Tail, Shadow Force, Aqua Jet, and Crunch. Goober the Goodra, with Dragon Pulse, Mega Drain, Sludge Bomb, and Power Whip. And finally, Daisy the Swanna, with Bleak Wind Storm, Ice Beam, Dancier Storm, and Roost. So our first challenger is going to be against Palomina, who sends in Jumpluff and we send in Grisham. I'm going to go for a Blaze Kick right away, and we can score ourselves an Oko, which is wonderful. Next out comes Crustle. So I'm actually going to swap out into Kirby as the Crustle decides to go for a Rock Slide. And I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Tinkaton as it goes for an Accelerock, but we can bonk it with a Gigaton Hammer, getting it down quite low. It then goes for another Accelerock, and we can KO it with Iron Head, which is going to lead into Serena. I don't know what it's going to go for, but I'm going to go for a Gigaton Hammer here, and we can grab ourselves the Oko, which leads into Leafeon. And once again, I'm going to stay in and go for an Iron Head here, and we do just about half, and we get the flinch. The one more takes it out on a crit, leading into Appleton. And let's go for a Spirit Break here, also grabbing the Oko on it. Ribombee comes in as her final Pokemon, and I am so thankful I found out where the mints were because I would have been screwed otherwise. Anyways, that Mega is absolutely freaking precious. And it outspeeds us going for a Dazzling Gleam, which does just a little bit of damage, but we can go for a Gigaton Hammer, taking down Ribombee. So with that, we defeat Palomina. And now it's time for us to take on Terpsichore as our second challenger. Braviary comes in against Snapper. I'm going to go for a Shadow Force here as it misses an Air Slash, and we can connect, grabbing the Oko. Next up comes Gallade. And I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail here, and we score a crit Oko. Oh my goodness gracious me, leading into Renucleus. Now a Crunch will do about half. It goes for a Psychic, dropping my special defense, and one more Crunch takes down Renucleus, which is going to lead into Bruxish. It's going to go for some Psychic Fangs, getting me down quite low, and I'm going to go for another Shadow Force here, grabbing ourselves the KO, which leads into Kamo. So let's go ahead and swap out, sending in Kirby as it tries to go for a Dragon Claw. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve because what else am I supposed to do? And we can go for a Fake Out here. Then firing off a Spirit Break will KO Kamo. Finally, Phalanx, who is obviously going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Phalanx. And we can go for a Spirit Break, doing just about 50% as it fires off a close combat. It'll get the defense drop, which means we'll be able to secure the KO with just one more hit. And we defeat Terpsichore. And now it's time for us to take on Etrupi and her water poison pals. Anyways, Tentacruel versus Dancer. A layer of Toxic Spikes goes down, and we go for a Psychic, grabbing a pretty big hit. He then swaps out into Arbok, who obviously can avoid a Psychic here. I'm going to stay in and go for a Draining Kiss because I might as well, and I do like half as she goes for a Glare. But Synchronize is also going to paralyze the Arbok, and we can go for another Draining Kiss, bringing it down way into the red. And unfortunately, it's going to hit me with a Poison Fang, and I can win the speed tie on the following turn, taking out Arbok. This leads into Snealer, who's probably going to go for a poison move, so we're going to swap into Kirby here as it goes for a Dire Claw. So let's go ahead and Mega Evolve our Kirby, going for a Fake Out. It then goes for a knockoff, and we can go for a Spirit Break, grabbing the KO. Next up is Clodsire. And I've got to assume an Earthquake or something, so here comes Daisy getting the Intimidate off, as it does go for an Earthquake. I'm going to go for a Sandsear Storm here, doing like a third as I get Toxicked, which is a little unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is. And then I miss on the following turn, which is incredibly unfortunate. Another Storm's going to get it down quite low, as a Sludge Wave is going to get me down low enough that Daisy gets taken down. So here's Kirby again. And with a Fake Out, we take down Clodsire, leading into Tentacruel. And with an Iron Head, we can take it down as well, which leads into Lantern. So let's go for a Spirit Break here, doing just over half as it goes for a frickin' Yawn. So we're going to swap out into Dancer now as it goes for a Discharge. It then follows up with a Surf, scoring a crit, and I'm paralyzed. So assuming another Surf, I'll swap out into Snapper, who's going to get poisoned, but I am holding a Lumberry. And let's go for a Discharge here, taking a bit of damage. But we're going to go for a Crunch, and we don't quite get the KO. So back into Kirby we go. Kirby then uses a full Restore, and we can go for a Fake Out. So let's go for another Spirit Break, getting it down way into the red as it goes for another Yawn. So I guess I'll send in Goober. I'm going to get poisoned as it goes for a Surf. And let's go for a Mega Drain where we can grab the KO and heal up just a bit. Finally comes Gyarados. Gyarados is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Gyarados, going for a Crunch on us, scoring an insane hit. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt though, doing like a third. So, assuming another Crunch, I'll swap into Kirby as it does indeed. So let's go for a Fake Out, getting it down to about half, and then a Spirit Break, KOing it, and we just barely managed to scoot by, but we did lose Swanna. I was really wondering how these would go, because the first 3 Elite Four challengers we faced off against were all from the first 4 gyms. So I thought it would just be the first 4 gym leaders, but here is our fire-flying 7th gym leader, Radine. Oricorio comes in and we send in Grisham, who's gonna go for a Quiver Dance, and we can go for a Thunder Fang, scoring a pretty massive hit. After going for a second Quiver Dance, thank you so much for that, we can take it down with another Thunder Fang. Next out comes Pyroar. I don't know what it's going to go for, and the answer is Hyper Voice. Holy smokes, that did a lot, and we're going to go for a Thunder Fang. I'll then swap out into Snapper, assuming another Hyper Voice, which obviously we can avoid. He then goes for a Dark Pulse, doing about half to us, and we can fire off an Aqua Tail, KOing Pyroar. Next out comes Chatot. So I'm going to swap out into Goober, because I don't know what it's going to use, as it goes for a Snarl. I'll stay in and go for a Thunderbolt, even though I'm at -2, just because it's a Chatot, and it does not do a lot. So assuming another Snarl, we'll swap out into Kirby, as it goes for a Torch Song. Well, excuse you. Here's Grisham, as it goes for another Torch Song. I can then go for a Blaze Kick, taking out the Chatot. Next out comes Centiskorch. So I'm going to swap into Snapper here, as it goes for a Scald. I can outspeed Aqua Tail, KO. Now to Cannon, who I assume was her Mega, but it's not, and a Drill Peck is going to knock me down to just 26. So let's swap out into Goober, as it goes for a Beak Blast. I can then fire off a Thunderbolt, KOing to Cannon. Finally, Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is then going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Mandibuzz. And we're going to go ahead and go for a Dragon Pulse, but not before getting nailed with a Drill Peck. I'm going to swap out into Dancer here, as it goes for a False Surrender, which still does half to us. And with a Draining Kiss, we can do about half, healing back up as it goes for another False Surrender. Now let's smooch this thing once again, taking it down into the red as we heal basically back up to full. And I'm not sure why it stopped going for Drill Packs, but I'm not going to complain. We can then take out Mandibuzz, and we defeat our 4th and final Elite Four member. Radine lets us know that we've completed the challenge, or else we would have, but there's somebody else, someone who's been exploring all sorts of other regions and has recently returned. First, we have to face off against them. And as we enter the Champion's Chamber, who the heck is this guy? This guy's name is Analios. And apparently he beat up the last version of the Elite Four so bad that they all retired. But now that he's finally found a suitable challenger, it's time for us to face off against him. He starts off with Ceruledge and we send in Dancer. Oh my god, that Ceruledge sprite. I swap out into Grisham as this thing tries to go for a Shadow Claw. I can then go for a Crunch, scoring a massive hit, as it goes for a Sacred Sword, scoring an equally massive hit. But I'm faster, so down goes Ceruledge. Next out comes Obstagoon. And I'm going to swap out into Dancer here as it goes for a Night Slash. Then with a Double Edge, down goes Dancer. Alright, so here's Kirby, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, because what else am I supposed to do here, you silly Billy, and go for a Fake Out. After that, it's going to go for an Obstruct, though it's going to protect itself, lowering my defense by 2 stages, but we can take it down with a Spirit Break on the next turn. Next out comes Aegis Slash. So we're going to swap out into Snapper here as it goes for King Shield. Then go for a Crunch, doing a good amount of damage, getting the defense drop as it's going to go ahead and go for a Shadow Force. But I'm faster, so I'm going to use Shadow Force, you silly Billy. It misses, and then I don't. So we grab the KO on Aegis Slash. Now Muck. So let's go for an adaptability boosted Aqua Tail, doing about half as it sets up an Acid Armor. And we're going to do another one as it goes for a knockoff, knocking me down to 21 HP. But that does set it low enough so that way we can go for an Aqua Jet, finishing it off, leading into Spiritomb. It goes for a Sucker Punch, taking out Snapper. So in comes Kirby again. It goes for a Sucker Punch and we can go for a Spirit Break, grabbing ourselves the KO. So now Cyclizar, which I probably should have guessed considering he was riding a motorcycle. Anyways, it's going to Mega Evolve into Koraidon, going for a Collision Course, scoring a massive hit on us. But we go for a Spirit Break, grabbing the Oko, baby! And we defeat this dingus. And guess what? Now I'm the champion! And that, everybody, is how I beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of hard mode of Pokémon Lazarus. This game is absolutely amazing. The sprite work, the art, the music, I enjoy it all so much. And I really hope that you enjoyed watching the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed playing this one. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. I probably should have done this on normal, but whatever, I guess. If you made it this far and you're not subscribed yet, then what the heck are you doing? Go ahead and hit that button. You know that you want to. Let me know what other types of runs you'd like to see, whether they're fan games, ROM hacks, or vanilla challenges. And I'll see you all in the next Pokemon video. See you later.